Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at Shadow Tentacruel in the Open Ultra League. This Pokemon is kinda new as, the Shadow was kinda released without even Niantic saying it does, but we're going to have here the variant as well with the Acid Spray. And we're going to encounter a great lead here and also a decent swap for us. And we're gonna go for the BM move immediately here, going for the Acid Spray. Why do we do this? Because we're going to have a greater matchup with our other Pokemon in the back. I would actually say that this is a little bit of a mistake of how I play this one. I would not really recommend you to do this because what you can actually do instead is you can go for the Acid Spray and swap into your Giratina. Giratina can resist all of the charge moves of the Registeel, while you're still going to have a better time with your fast move plus Shadow Sneak in order to knock them out. Here of course the matchup is a little bit faster, but you're forced to use a shield. But we're gonna get out here the opponent's Charizard, which is going to be amazing for us because Annihilape actually does exactly what it's supposed to do. It's getting rid of one Pokemon, getting back a shield, and we can realign our Pokemon. And as we found the Tapu Fini in the lead, which is the main target for this Pokemon here, for our Tentacruel, we're going to be in a great spot here. I expected the opponent would want to swap out into Dragon Claw eventually, but they just want to stay in here apparently, which is totally fine for me. I don't really need to use a shield here. I know that my Tentacruel can counter basically both of the opponent's Pokemon, but at this point, because it's a CMP tile, we're going to be in a great spot as this Dragon Claw gonna put them into range where we can farm them down with our Tentacruel. Tentacruel still has access to the move Acid Spray as well as the Scald, but the opponent already wants to forfeit as Tapu Fini has zero chance against us. Next opponent, great lead for us as the opponent swaps out into the Swampert. I decide to stay in. Why do I decide to stay in? Because I want to get the debuff here. This is my main goal and I do get the debuff because this is going to make the matchup way better for our Giratina. I'm still using a shield, but otherwise they might be able to flip the matchup and I don't really want this to happen, so I decided to go here for the Dragon Claw. You could also decide to go for the Annihilape, but I feel like because I have to definitely still take at least one Earthquake here, we're still kind of going to be in a better spot with our Giratina, and I can just go for the Dragon Claw now. Gonna try to get the knockout, but if they want to use a shield, they might even get to another Earthquake, and they do exactly this. And I thought, oh, this is just a Hydro Cannon, this was way too fast, right? I was wrong, it's going to be another Earthquake, but we can still survive because of this lucky debuff in the beginning. Scald is still my most hated move I think ever in Pokemon Go, because it's just like so random. Like again here, if we didn't get the Scald debuff, the matchup would have been completely different. Like usually I just always look at the other side basically when the opponent gets the debuff and I don't or whatever, but like here this time around we got a debuff and we only basically were able to realign and were able to easily win this game now, spoiler alert, because we were able to get the debuff, and otherwise we would have not been able to do so. But again, we can go for a Scald here. I'm going to be able to get the knockout against the opponent's Charizard, and if we got one Scald debuff, why not try to go for another Scald debuff here immediately afterwards, as the Registeel is going to try to go for the full farm now. They don't get the debuff here, so they still have a chance maybe, but no, we can even reach another Scald with our Shadow Tentacruel, completely dominating the first two matchups already. And honestly, I had a different team before, I think, where I changed the Pokemon in the back to the Scrafty, which in hindsight might have been the better Pokemon to play, but I was a little bit too scared of other Annihilapes, that's why I decided against it basically later on. And I have to say that definitely Tentacruel is a cool Pokemon to use. I was expecting to lose Elo because basically I a lot of times lose Elo if I try to play around Pokemon that I don't really know and that I basically just showcased for the video's sake. But Tentacruel actually is really decent. I know that the normal variant is like rank 19, the Shadow variant is a little bit lower ranked at like rank 60. So definitely is still an interesting choice to play the Shadow variant though. We're running Acid Spray, which is not really the recommended moveset. You kind of want to run the move Blizzard, which is mainly good against like Giratina. So, yeah, it really depends on the moveset there that you want to go. But if you use the Shadow variant, I feel like Acid Spray is kind of the way to go for, because, yeah, it's kind of difficult to get to the Blizzards all the time because you don't have the bulk that you kind of need. But here we're going to still be able to resist the opponent's, charge move there from the Poliwrath. We can still go for Scald here. This is going to be able to get the attack drop again. We're going to get them all the time. But we can even go for another Scald to get nearly a knockout. It's not going to be actually enough to knock them out because we were debuffed from the opponent's Icy Wind, I think it was. But here the opponent gonna get the attack buff again. It does not really matter because he's gonna be able to reach the Dragon Claw in time and gonna get the easy knockout against the opponent. And now it's just going to be the Poliwrath, which is going to forfeit here. So good game to the opponent. Next Pokemon coming in, we're going to have the Dragonite in the lead. Shadow Dragonite is going to be an okay matchup for us, and maybe you should not go straight for the Acid Spray because it's kind of predictable, but now it's kind of forcing them to swap out fairly soon, and this is going to be great as they're going to swap out into the Registeel. And this is exactly what I kind of mean. You can now go for another Acid Spray and just swap into the Giratina, and no matter what is going to happen here, you're going to be in a great spot because you're always going to do more damage than you're supposed to do. Even if they're going to get the debuff here with the Zap Cannon, which they sadly do, you're still going to be in a decent spot, as your fast move is still neutral, your charge move is still going to chunk as well with the Shadow Sneak here, and we're going to be able to put them already at half of their health because, yeah, we're just going to have the advantage now of having still basically one attack stage more than the opponent. Basically, the opponent is at -2 defense, we're at -1 attack, and so we're going to be able to win this matchup usually, but they decide to swap out into the Dragonite. That's totally fine for me, because I can just swap out into the Tentacruel and use one shield, farm them all the way down, and if they're gonna swap back into their Registeel, then I might be able to just lock them into my Annihilate, and this is exactly what we can do. I expect this is just going to be a Focus Blast, which would be enough to knock me out before, and this is just a Focus Blast. Predicting this was so huge, because now we can go for the full farm down, and they're going to have a Talonflame in the back. And this matchup was so annoying, because you see here, I actually played this really good, I played perfectly, and I want to try to go for another Shadow Ball now, because it kinda guarantees me a shield from the opponent. And then, I know that I have a Scald stored, so what I can do now is I can just go for the Shadow Ball, I can go for one fast move, so they're locked in their fast move animation, and now go for the Scald, and the Pokemon made an extra fast move that I didn't want to go for. I feel like I only hit the Scald button, to be fair, but maybe it was just the lag that I had as well. But we would have been able to win the game under normal circumstances, so that's kinda annoying, but we can move on to the next one. Next opponent, we're going to have Annihilate in the lead. It's actually a worse matchup than you might expect, and this is also the thing why I kind of wanted to go for maybe Obstagoon or this Scrafty in the back. The amount of Jellicents that are currently available, or like they're currently just floating around here, literally floating around, is just insane. Like, this Pokemon is basically everywhere, and it's very tricky to deal with for this team. So, yeah, we're going to still have at least our Giratina, which is going to be kind of neutral. We're still going to be forced to use a shield against something like the opponent's Shadow Ball, but it's at least going to be in a matchup that we're going to be able to win in the long run, so it's going to be fine for us. But it would be a little bit easier if you have something like the Obstagoon, like the Scrafty in the back instead of the Annihilate. But I kind of want to be a little bit more, I don't know, safe here, because I feel like the Annihilate is a bigger issue than the Jellicent. Maybe I'm wrong with that, I'm not too sure. But we're going to take a look here at the next matchup, which is going to be against the Alolan Sandslash. I can just go for the Shadow Sneak against them as well. Gonna get them low, hopefully low enough that I can just fast counter them down before they can do anything. Let's see if we can do this. We're going to be able to reach one counter, but they swap out immediately into their own Annihilate, and I'm going to be forced to go for those Scalds. First Scald coming through. Going to get no debuff, which is really annoying, but I can go now for an Acid Spray, and maybe this is the way to go. Not too sure. We're gonna get the shield from the opponent, we're gonna get them lower and lower and lower and lower, and we can even reach another one. And at this point, the opponent is basically at 100 energy, but I should be able to counter them down in 2 counters. So I decided to let the first move go through, expecting that they're gonna go for the bait, and they didn't. And this is so annoying, because I would have actually been able to, like, if I used the shield, I would have been able to easily win this game, but like this, I'm not going to. Never mind, I'm still going to be able to win this game, because Annihilate is just OP, and we can move on to the next one. Honestly, I had no idea that I was winning this game. Like, I was not even just pretending. A lot of times I just pretend because I know, like, my games usually, because I usually record pretty soon after I played the games, but yeah, I had no idea there. Like, I literally had no idea. This was not even played, so it's kind of funny. Let's move on to the next matchup. By the way, if you enjoyed this early showcase, basically, for the XL Shadow variant of the Tentacruel, so you see if you want to build this one or not, definitely feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you have not already. Would appreciate it if you're still here at this point of the video. Would really appreciate this. For sure. We're gonna see here the Weezing. Weezing is going to be a little bit of a tricky Pokemon for us. Weezing is going to be great against our backline, but this is the cool thing about the backline of Double Ghost, basically, with the Annihilate as well as the Giratina. Giratina getting out those hard counters for the Annihilate is always a good thing to have, but something that's not really great to have is going to be the Jellicent against us. This is going to be a very tough matchup for our team here, as they're going to be forced to use a shield onto the Shadow Ball. I can still reach another Scald, and hopefully I'm going to be able to get another attack drop onto the opponent as well, and I will be able to do so. So our Tentacruel definitely going to get the attack drops today. I definitely can't complain about not getting all the drops or whatever. Definitely getting more than above of average rates here, I would say, for today, so definitely can't complain there. And we're gonna see here, we're gonna get the next attack drop there, basically 3 back to back to back, and so we can let this next move go through, and the opponent is gonna go for a surf, and I try to go for the counter down, but I actually can still reach the ice punch in time. This is amazing, right? I can just get the knockout here, but now they decide to use a shield, and so I'm forced to use a shield as well. And this was a ginormous mistake, because they have their own Annihilate in the back. And why was it such a big mistake, you ask? The opponent was at -3 attack. There was no need for me to go for a shield, like literally no need. I would have been easily able to swipe this one. But like this, the opponent can still go for a Shadow Ball, and because we were a little bit lower, they can win this game. So avoidable, definitely my mistake there. Next opponent, we're going to have a Fable. Swapping into us is going to be the Golisopod, and here you see just, like, honestly, Shadow Tentacruel was way better than I expected. I was really scared about using this Pokemon because it did not really, I mean, it looked okay in the calculations, but I was not really too sure what I would really think about it. But as you can see here, if you win the lead, basically, you have next to no option to lose the Say Swap there, because you just have great counts against anything that could come in, and you can just Acid Spray them, and then, like, something like a Giratina definitely going to be able to just realign. Here we can even realign by getting a full farm down against the opponent, getting up to 100 energy and going for another Shadow Sneak. I think it was just 90 energy, to be fair, so I was lying there, but it's totally going to be okay, as you can go for another Shadow Sneak, gonna get them low enough, but they're mostly gonna try to go for the full farm down, which they will most likely succeed in, because they're going to be already pretty low. Can we still reach another move? No, because they're actually gonna go for the charge move. Great for us, Media Mesh, 50 energy gone from the opponent, they swap into their own Tentacruel. Of course, they're going to face another Acid Spray, showcasing why Acid Spray might actually be the way to go. Most, as said before, are not running Acid Spray, they're running Scald plus Blizzard, but Acid Spray with the Shadow variant especially is just so great to lock in those secondary matchups, because as you can see here now, it was a really bad matchup for Annihilate before, but Counter is just chunking so much onto the opponent's health. It is wild. We can go for another Ice Punch here as well. Like, it doesn't even matter if I go for Ice Punch and the opponent lets Smooth go through, because they're double debuffed in defense and would still chunk quite a bit, as it can even reach another one. This should guarantee the knockout here. Let's take a look at this one. Bye-bye there. And we can just now go for the full farm down, use one shield, and win this game. What a game this was. Tentacruel really carrying there, and we can move on to the next opponent. Another pretty awkward matchup for us is going to be Gastrodon, of course, as a Say Swap, or like a swap here against our Giratina, and of course the Gliscor. Gliscor is a Pokemon that I don't really like too much. Something where definitely something like an Obstagoon would be a little bit better. Like, it's still a pretty tough matchup for Obstagoon, don't get me wrong, but at least you're going to be able to resist a potential Night Slash, and you don't get super effective damage from the fast move of the opponent. But what you see me doing here basically is I try to get the shield from the opponent. I just want to get shields down, because shields down is okay for me. I have Scald, I have Ice Punch, it's definitely better for me to go shields down. But, like, what can you do if you get completely hard countered? Like, there was nothing I can do at this point. Like, literally, the entire team is just, yeah, destroying me at this point. They're still going to have their flying type against my Annihilate, but my only play here is that I can just go for the full farm down. The issue is, I'm not too sure if the opponent has now one fast move in or two fast moves in with a Gliscor. And this is actually a make or break here, because we still have basically a shield here, which is our Giratina. We have Ice Punch, which is going to be great because it's double super effective. It's going to still need 2 Ice Punches to knock them out for sure. But it's still a position where we can still do something at least. And here I was worried, because I expected them to go for the Earthquake, but no, they actually go for the Night Slash. So here I was worried about the Aerial Ace, which they don't have, and now I have to try to catch the move. And as you can see here, I go for one, and I thought I would be able to go for another one and then swap out, but I'm not, and so this game is sadly over. I could have went for another charge move there. I don't think it would have really mattered at all. No, it would have not, and so we're going to lose this game. If I caught the move, I think we would have been fine, but it is what it is, right? Like, you cannot win them all. Next opponent, Reedon in the lead, is a little bit annoying, I have to say. I would definitely not really enjoy this one most of the time, but what you should do here is go for the Scald, because Scald is going to do a ton of damage, and you want to get some damage onto the opponent. The opponent decides to swap out here, which is great for us. We can just go for the Acid Spray. Usually against Reedon, what I would recommend you to go for, if they stay in then, and if you don't get the debuff, which is going to happen quite often, you should swap out, maybe try to swap out, especially on a Body Slam, you should swap out into your Giratina. Yes, it's going to be a little bit of a trickier matchup, but you're still going to have an ABB style line, and if the opponent has something like a Tapu Fini in the bag, you are screwed if you don't get out Tapu Fini early enough. And if you're going to hit a Scald against the Greedent, the opponent is in a range where you can go for 2 Dragon Claws, and this should be enough to knock them out. Here the opponent baited me first, which was really annoying because they also got the attack drop, but my goal now is we are 2 shields down here. Like, if we are 2 shields down, we're currently in a really bad spot, but the opponent is going to be locked into this matchup. My goal is just to get as much energy as possible with my Pokemon, because I have to get rid of those shields. Like, we have to be clear here. The shields are going to be a little bit of an issue. We can try to go for the Ice Punch now. Ice Punch is going to be able to get a shield here, luckily, but I don't really want to risk it for the second one, so I go straight for the Shadow Ball. Are they going to waste their final shield as well? They do, and so we're going to be even in shields in like literally like 5 seconds there, which is kind of amazing for us. Scald coming through, gonna get the attack drop, and we can swap into our Tentacruel. With this, we can go for the Scald. While Scald, it's resisted, but it's going to give us a little bit more damage now onto the opponent already, and I just want to get them into range where I can go ahead and go for either another Scald or a Dragon Claw, and we still have a Dragon Claw stored on our Giratina, and so they can go for the Icy Wind, but it does not help them. We still have our Giratina. We would still survive an Icy Wind, and with this is going to be a good game. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already, check out the videos on the screen, and I see you then.